So, oh, someone's calling. I don't know. So we have a special guest speaker today. They're not a member of this congregation anymore. They don't live in this country anymore. Jonathan, are you there? There he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Jonathan Zenz.
Wow, it's a full house.
We've grown since you left. I don't think you can hear me.
It took me leaving, eh?
He can't hear me.
Oh. So how is everyone? Oh, I miss you too. Oh, I miss you too. Well, this is an odd way of giving a talk, isn't it? Now that I'm here. So I'm coming to you from well, what is the kids' room? Hold on, having issues with the camera. So this is where the kids are on Sundays, which also is doubles as my office during the week, and yeah. So treat yourself. That's the theme of the night. So I've been told. So I do have a question. How many of you are watching my talks on Sundays online? Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm glad to be able to provide those. You're going to hear some of the stuff that I said this last Sunday tonight, because it's really what is at the forefront of what's going on with me in my mind, and this whole idea of faith and deep embodiment of faith, because ultimately faith is the power behind treatment. Faith is the power behind treatment. And on Sunday, I've been following the daily readings, and on Sunday, the reading in the Science of Mind textbook was on the section entitled The Technique to Acquiring Faith. To which I was like, okay, so there's a technique to acquiring faith. And then I think back to what I've learned about technique, and what I realize about technique is anything that works. Technique is anything that works. So whatever it takes to acquire faith for you, whatever works for you, is perfect and is exactly what it needs to be. So then I asked myself, well, what is faith? Which I then diligently, as a good, brand new pastor, I go to the glossary of the Science of Mind textbook and I look up faith. The very first sentence in the glossary is, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The evidence of things not seen. And my poor congregation, I've been bombarding them with quotes from the Bible, and I went through all of ministerial school thinking that that was a quote of Emerson, and it's not. It's from the Bible. It's Hebrews 11, chapter 11, verse 1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But it does sound like something Emerson would have said. And I've always loved this quote. And the reason that I love the quote is because it is a recognition that we're the ones who are in charge. It puts the onus on us to really live within faith. So I asked the question, what is faith? What is faith to you? And I really want you to take into consideration what comes up in your own mind, when I say, what is faith to you? And I did this also on Sunday. Do you have faith in this teaching? A lot of us went through ministerial school together. And boy, I'll tell you, you learn to have faith in this teaching. As I was teaching, I was actually teaching class tonight, just an hour ago. And an interesting thing happened in class tonight. So I was faced with somebody in my class who was really struggling with the level of faith within this teaching because of other things that he's learned in other philosophies. And what was really fascinating is what he came to. We had been talking about the idea of the law of cause and effect, and that when we're studying Deepak Chopra, the 7 spiritual laws of success, and we're on the law of karma right now. And what he was talking about is this one section in this chapter where Deepak Chopra basically says to know what choice to make, really listen to your body. Really take into account what's happening with your body. If it feels good, then it's the right choice. If it feels bad, then it's the wrong choice. And the student took issue with this. He says, well, there are things that don't feel right to me that I know are the right choice. I know intellectually are the right choice. And we had a huge discussion around this. And ultimately what we came to is that we need to change the word body to spirit. That you really listen to the spirit. And if the spirit feels right, then it's the right choice. And if spirit does not feel good, then it's not the right choice. And that's the whole idea of living in faith. It's the whole idea of living in faith. So, do you have faith in this teaching? Do you have faith in the inherent good of all people? Do you have faith that everything is going to work out in the end? Also, do you have faith? And does your faith need to be proved? And if the answer to the last question is anything other than no, then I got a philosophy for you to study. Because what I find happening repeatedly as a new pastor and taking in clients in counseling sessions is that most people are coming to me looking for proof. Most people are coming to me looking for proof. And I'm faced with this, with people coming to me with the concept, my life is not going well, so now I need you to prove to me that this teaching will change that. I need you to prove to me that this teaching will change that. And the truth is, I can't do that. I can't prove anything. If you're looking for evidence in form that this teaching is working, then you're looking in the wrong place. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. It's a mental attitude. This is a continuation of the glossary definition. It's a mental attitude so inwardly embodied that the mind can no longer deny it. Faith may be consciously generated. So here's where the treatment comes in. This is what we're doing when we engage in treatment. All treatment is the time and process it takes to change your mind, to move your mind into a deeper place of faith. And when that happens, then your life unfolds perfectly and brilliantly. So if you're not in a place of faith at this point, you can consciously change that. You can. But it's up to you to do it. And it takes tenacity, and it takes conviction. And for some people, they say, well, gosh, that's really hard. It takes a lot of hard work. I say, yeah, it might take hard work at first. But what's really great is that there comes a point when the work is no longer hard. It's simply part of who you are. And so continue spiritual practice. Continue challenging what's going on in your mind. Continue entering further and further into this place of faith. You know, and I do say it's entirely possible that there are plenty of people out there whose lives are going along without any work and they're brilliant and unfolding perfectly. And for a lot of us, that's not the case. Or we've been faced with times where that's not the case. And what those times are places where we've gone off of habitual thinking, where our faith has fallen off. And the way to change that is to treat yourself. To get into that place where you're changing your own mind. Did anybody watch Has anybody been watching Oprah's life class on the OWN network? Yes. Did you see it this Monday? Live from Toronto? It was great. I actually had a bunch of my congregation who were at that. I wasn't able to get tickets because I got here too late. But there was he had Deepak Chopra on, or she had Deepak Chopra on that broadcast. And the whole idea was around forgiveness. The whole idea was around forgiveness. And this also goes in line with faith. Because when you have deep conviction in faith, when you're living in faith, then you have nothing to forgive, ultimately. Because you understand your individual, unique expression as the one thing, as the divine. But there's this one great thing that he said around forgiveness, is that when you're not forgiving, you're holding on to resentment. And holding on to resentment is like holding your breath. And what happens is you suffocate. So if there's any place in you that needs to forgive, I say go for it. And ultimately, what most of us find is that we have to forgive ourselves. We have to forgive ourselves. And also remember that forgiveness can't be predicated on somebody else's behavior. For instance, you can't require an apology as a requirement to forgive someone. Forgiveness is an inside job and goes in line with faith. So, then there was this other thing that I read on in the Science of Mind. If at times we doubt our ability to use the law, we should at those times remind ourselves that it is not the human I, but the divine I am that does the work. So it kind of lets us off the hook. Because the law is working regardless of whether we're conscious of it or not. And the great thing is, recognizing that it is the divine doing the work straightens out our thought and places us on the road to faith and understanding. We must believe. We must learn how to believe. And we should treat ourselves until we do believe. No one ever started at the top. So let us be happy to begin right where we are and grow. And so remember that this life is a journey. This life is an opportunity to grow. This life is good, and it is unfolding perfectly at all times, because it can't do anything but do that. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Again, it's really strange being here in Toronto and speaking to you through a computer. But I do want you to know that life is great up here. And as much as I miss you, I have made the right decision, and that I'm thriving and growing, and I love my life up here. And I owe it all to you. I owe it all to you for the support that you gave me over the years so that I could step into this position and step into a greater expression of myself. So I love you, and I thank you, and I cherish you, and I will always have you in my heart. Namaste. Bye.